I was just in a cloud of anxiety. This is your fault. You weren't disciplined enough. You should have worked harder. Other people are working harder. Other people go when they don't feel like it. Why can't you? It would be paralyzing because hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is Amanda, and I'm so glad to be here, and I'm so glad to be talking to you guys about something that is very important to me, something that I really feel God was putting on my heart to share with you guys, because I feel like a lot of women go through this, and I really want to be able to share my story and shed some light, some hope for anyone who is going through this and anyone who hopes to overcome this thing. But before I get into that, again, I just want to thank you all for hanging in there with me. I know there's not many of you, but I appreciate the few of you who are here. I was having trouble figuring out what do I want to share on this channel. And I was listening actually to a sermon by Todd from Transformation Church, and he had a sermon that was called You Are Enough. And one of the things that he talked about was how important it is for us to be our authentic selves, because that's where the anointing of God comes in. He won't, anoint us in the areas of which we're trying to be fake or be like someone else, but only when we're being authentic to who we are, because that's what he wants to use. He chose us for a purpose, for who we are, not for who we pretend to be. Not that I was pretending to be anything when I was doing the videos before, but I know in my heart the things that I really thrive or feel really fulfilled in doing on as far as like videos is when I do heart to hearts, or when I share something that I have been reflecting on and I got a sense of revelation, or God shared some light on, or I got some sort of life lesson that has made my life better, or just anything I've learned that I can share with you all to hopefully make your lives better. The thing I want to talk to you guys about is my journey with body idealism. Now, what is body idealism? I'm actually going to look at some of the notes and stuff that I wrote here on my computer, because I don't want to just be splurting out and make this video any longer than it needs to be, and I want to make sure I hit the points that I wrote down. But body idealism, oh, that's my boo thing. Oh goodness, let me turn down this volume just in case it pops up again. Body idealism is a term I use to describe a person who's pursuing an ideal body type. Pursuing body idealism is really pursuing in their minds, in our minds, is really someone who is pursuing a perfect body. The ideal body, a perfect body, the body they see on Instagram, the body they see in their life or at the gym. That is what they are searching for and trying to get. That is what they are pursuing. That is body idealism. I'm not a doctor. This is a term I just created for myself, and to me it makes the most sense, and it's what I use to talk to other people about what I go through or what I've been through. But I'm not a doctor of any sort. I'm just a girl who's been through something and realized that it was taking her to a very dangerous place, and that she needs to start to get help, and began working on it and has a different life now. Before I dive deeper into what body idealism is, I want to just quickly share my story as far as like how I got there. It was always I looked at my baby photos. I always had large thighs. That's always been me. I've always, from my body shape, I've always had a pear sort of shape. Obviously, I'm more womanly shaped now. I was never one of the like really thin frame girls growing up. I think when I was like 5, 6, maybe 7, I was somewhat small, but I was never like thin. I was always, I guess, just a normal kid, to be honest. But in middle school, that's when I really started to pack on more weight, more like baby weight, and I think also just not really good eating habits. I didn't really know what good eating habits were. I just ate food that was made, and I liked having like treats and stuff like that. But yeah, I just started, and I didn't work out. I wasn't in any sports as a kid, so I think maybe if I had done that. And this isn't to blame like my parents or anything. It was just, that's just a reality of my life. I wasn't in any sports, so I wasn't like really physically active as a kid in that way. I was an artist, and I am an artist, so art was what I did, not running outside. I started really packing on weight in middle school. In fact, I remember the first day of 6th grade, and I kid you not, I'm not even exaggerating, the first day of 6th grade, I went to class. The first person I spoke to, or the first person I should say who spoke to me, was this boy who sat in front of me in my science class. And he turned around and he looked at me and he said, "Are you pregnant?" And I was kind of like, why would you say that? Like, that's dumb. Of course I'm not pregnant. But that was what I didn't know was the beginning of just teasing and noticing that I was a bigger girl, and I would have a hard time shopping for clothes. All my friends were like really small or like petite. So I remember going to, like, at the time it was called Limited 2. Now it's called Limited. I remember one time just going with my mom. And I could not fit the clothes that they had in the store. I couldn't fit anything. And I just sat, I remember, on one of the little benches in there and cried and cried. And I was just so sad that I couldn't fit these cute clothes. And I think I was also just embarrassed too, because it just felt like now people could see that obviously I'm not the right size to, and all that, and I just felt very hurt. So compounded on me because my sister, my only sister, my best friend, she is she was smaller frame than I was. Like, she was more like up and down as a kid. Now she has like more shape to her. She could fit anything. As for me, I could not, and so that was very hard for me. I continued to add on more weight through middle school. When I got to high school, I was at I think my biggest, and I'll insert pictures here. Hopefully I'm already doing that, but I don't know what I weighed at my heaviest, but I do know that I was about 225 by the time I finished freshman year of high school, and I lost weight by the time I got to that. So when I was at 225, I had actually already lost weight because I was determined to be in sports so that I could lose weight. My goal for when I did basketball freshman year wasn't to just be on a team or to make friends. My ultimate goal was to lose weight, and so that's why I did basketball. So after my first year, I had lost a couple of pounds. I'm guessing between 10 to 15 pounds is my guess. But I did lose a significant amount of weight because my pants were a lot bigger on me. I was at one point a size 24, and now I am a size 14, 12, depends on like where I go. I was a big girl, basically. Also did begin doing exercise with my mom. I remember us running outside. She would take me jogging with her, and I remember crying, y'all. I hated it. It was painful. I could barely jog, to be honest. I remember going to the gym with her, and we would go on the treadmill, and I was jogging a 3. A 3 is not a jog, y'all. 3 is a walk. But that was all I could do, and that was what I was just able to do at that time. But I was tired. I hated jogging outside, and it wasn't something that she like made me do. I mean, she encouraged me to do it, I think, because she was just also concerned about my weight. I know my grandfather was, and not that they were ever mean or pushy about it. A lot of this I didn't really know till later. Actually, when I lost more weight, that's how they felt, because they're your loved ones. They don't want to hurt you, but they are concerned about you. Working out was a challenge for me, but in high school, again, like, even though I was starting to do jogging, I was still in basketball, I was still in sports, I kind of reached a plateau where I didn't lose too much more weight. I definitely was smaller by the time I was a senior in high school than when I was a freshman in high school. But by the time I got to maybe my junior or into my sophomore year to my senior year, there was kind of like a plateau where I didn't lose a tremendous amount more weight. Now, when I went to college, that was actually when I don't know, I just kind of kicked into high gear. That was a terrible snap. There we go. That's when I kicked into high gear, and I was very diligent. I was very selective in what I ate. I cut out soda. I was very mindful of my sugars. I think I only had dessert on the weekends only. I made sure at evenings I only ate like vegetables and protein. but I didn't eat any bread. I only ate bread at a certain time. I worked out like 5 days a week. And instead of the freshman 15, as what we typically know, I got freshman 15 in the opposite way, and I lost a tremendous amount more weight. From my freshman year to my senior year, I have lost a ton of weight. I look completely different from the freshman year of me in college to my senior year. And then even after college, I continued to work out and work hard. And after that, I had lost even more weight. I began running outside. I began, doing a little bit of weightlifting, but for the most part, what I was doing between like college and a little bit after college was just cardio for the most part. I think because I like listening to my music and kind of daydreaming, getting lost, and I knew if I had to do weightlifting, I had to be a little more focused, and I didn't really want to be more focused. I wanted to enjoy my working out, because working out already was not something fun for me, so I was like, if I can get as much joy out of it as I can, then I'm going to do that. So listening to my music was something I like to do, and with cardio, I can kind of get lost in that. But I continued to work out and work hard even after graduating. What ended up happening, and I remember myself saying this, I clearly remember this. I was in 8th grade, and I can remember myself, I don't know why I remember this. I was wearing a yellow shirt that had like flowers on it and everything like that, and I was in my math class. And I remember thinking this to myself, Amanda, if you begin to lose weight, you can't lose your personality or you will never be happy. What ended up happening when I got out of college, this was a little bit, I think I was really starting to feel the effects of this last year in 2018, and also a little bit in 2017 as well. I began to get really focused on no longer the health of my body, but the way my body looked aesthetically. And that's where body idealism comes into play. By this time, I have lost about 60 pounds. It was no longer me wondering if I'm healthy or not. I mean, I know that I'm healthier than ever. I can run now, like really run, like not running at a 3. Like I can run, like on the treadmill. I can run outside. I actually enjoy running now. Like who the heck do I think I am? You know? I never thought I would be that person, but here I am. But I got to a point and I realized this where I have become super stressed about my appearance in the sense of aesthetically, again, how certain things look. I just remember there just became a point where it was no longer about am I healthy. One of the things I really started to focus on was my breast. I just felt like my breasts were not as aesthetically pleasing as I was seeing on certain women on social media. I was beginning to wonder, are my breasts normal? Are they saggy or something because I lost weight? Because they don't seem to be as lifted as it seems like other women on social media. I began to focus on my butt, thinking like my butt had to be a certain size and shape and roundness. My stomach, my waist. It was no longer again about being healthy. It was about having certain assets of mine look a certain way, be a certain size, certain thickness or plumpness or whatever. And it was again no longer about was I healthy, because I was healthy as far as like how I was taking care of myself, but I at the same time wasn't healthy because mentally I was always striving for something more, and more by not how much I weighed, but how aesthetically pleasing certain features of my body looked. It all led to a point where in January of this year, past January, I started developing some pretty bad eating habits, or just my thoughts towards eating. I was so afraid of sugar. I was so afraid of it. I was afraid that by eating it, my body was just gonna completely balloon up and mess up. And for me, any bit of sugar I ate was the fear that now I messed up my workout, and now I have to work out hard to get rid of that. I was afraid of eating certain foods, like certain like carbs, or eating too many of them. I was afraid of not going to the gym. If I missed one day at the gym, I would become anxious. My thought process was kind of like, if you miss one day at the gym, you'll begin to start missing 2 days, and then 3 days, and then it'll become a spiral effect. And then all of a sudden you've missed a week, 2 weeks, a month. And now look at you, like, this is your fault. You weren't disciplined enough. You should have worked harder. Other people are working harder. Other people go when they don't feel like it. Why can't you? That was starting to be a thing that would happen if I missed a day, or even the thought of missing a day at the gym. There would be days where I kind of wanted to stay at home and maybe read my Bible and just be in my quiet time, or just do art or something. But I felt so anxious about missing a day at the gym. And it would be paralyzing, because when you get super anxious, you kind of get paralyzed at a point where you can't even move or think straight, and you're just in this cloud of worry. And that's where I was. And as far as food, I would literally make food sometimes and not eat it. For example, let's say it was like winter, right? So let's say I wanted a hot chocolate, and this is not actually a let's say, this is actually an experience that has happened multiple times. I would make hot chocolate. As I'm about to go make hot chocolate, I'm starting to feel that anxiety, because I'm like, sugar's bad, sugar's bad, sugar's bad. I would make the hot chocolate, stare at it, like see it being in the microwave, and I was like starting to get anxious. It was starting to bubble up even more, over more, like, oh my gosh, I'm about to have hot chocolate. It's a lot of calories, it's a lot of sugar, oh my gosh, and it's late at night, I shouldn't be having this. As soon as the hot chocolate's made, I would put it on the counter and look at it, and look at it, and look at it, until it became cold chocolate. It was no longer hot chocolate, it was cold. And I was just in a cloud of anxiety, afraid to drink this. And my fear wasn't even so much that I would gain weight, but I wouldn't lose any more weight, or that my body wouldn't change anymore by having a hot chocolate. I may not gain an excessive amount of weight, but I'm not going to lose anything. I'm not going to get better. I'm never going to have this snatched body like everyone else does, because I'm not disciplined. That's why I would tell myself, you're not disciplined. You're not doing enough. You're not working hard enough. Other people would sacrifice. You guys sacrifice. You can't do it. If you did it, maybe you would get your goal, but you're not enough. You don't discipline yourself enough. And so I remember coming one day into the kitchen, and I would, again, this whole how I felt about working out and these bad eating habits I started to develop, where I would make food and be afraid to eat it, and it would just sit and get cold, and sometimes throw it away. It got to a point, I remember in the kitchen, I was talking with my mom, and I think I might have been making something to eat or drink, and I was explaining to her, because I knew this wasn't good, and it took me some time, but I was explaining to her this whole thing about my eating and how I get anxious if I don't go to the gym, and I would sometimes make food and I can't eat it because I'm so afraid to. And one of the things that she said to me was, you don't want to start to develop eating habits that would lead you to be anorexic, or eating habits that would lead you to have an unhealthy relationship with food, to where you become like women who are anorexic, or have body issues because of they're afraid to eat, and they don't want to eat, and they don't want to have these calories. And I broke down crying. When she just talked about anorexic women and just that whole mindset that takes place, I cried, because I realized how true that was to me. And I cried also because, to be honest, I just didn't know how to break out of it. And I just cried. I told her, I don't know how to get over this. I don't know how to make this better. I don't know how to get through this. And it scared me. She prayed for me, and I knew then that this is something stronger than me, and I needed to get more people praying on me. So I texted my boyfriend and his family, and I'm really close to his family, so I was able to text all of them and be like, hey, this is what I'm going through. And I was embarrassed too, to even have to write that out and explain everything about my issues with eating and working out and the stress of trying to achieve this ideal body. But I had to get more people praying for me, and I reached out, and I think that was one of the biggest steps I could make at that time, because I knew it couldn't just be me. I needed to have other people praying for me, and other people equipped to helping me. It took not that much time to kind of get things working in the right direction. It takes time to kind of renew your mind, but it didn't take that long. And I don't want to be exaggerating and being like it took forever. It didn't take that long to get my mind on the right track, but it still did take some time. It didn't take like years. I don't think everything always has to be, if you're intentional and you're seeking out help. Honestly, if you're seeking out God's help, because I think only because of God was this turnaround so quick, and was I able to get some resolve in my life. And again, still working on stuff, but man, am I leaps and bounds from it. And I'm going to tell you all that. I think for now, I'm going to end the video here, because I'm going to make this into like kind of a series. I'm going to talk more about the process of getting out of body idealism and what that is in the next video. But for now, I just want to leave you kind of with the story and my journey through it. And I hope I made sense. I had so much more here to share, but I think I'm gonna just kind of end it here and let this be the first video. And then the next video, what we'll talk about is what I began doing to get help and what I began doing to overcome this body idealism. I tell you guys, I am in such a better place. I am healthier, not just physically, but mentally. Like, there are moments, yes, where I'm like, I wish something was a little different, but I'm not like paralyzed with afraid of missing the gym or not eating. And even when I have moments where fear wants to try to trickle in, I'm better at handling that and dealing with that where it doesn't overtake my day and my mind and occupy my space with anxiety. I look forward to sharing this more with you. I hope this encourages you and uplifts you. I know we didn't talk much about the upliftment part of things to kind of get you there, but I hope just you knowing that there's someone else who's been through that and is on the other side, that you can too. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video.